Hello, everybody. I am your host, Felipe. You're listening to the Total Basis Podcast. And with me, as always, is Sean Flannery. Sean, how you doing this morning?
We're good. We're good. 3 off days in the last 3 weeks. Now I have 3 off days like back to back to back. I don't know what to do with myself. I went into basically a half coma yesterday. You were texting me nonstop with all these trades you were making, and I woke up and I was like, "Oh my god, what has happened?" And it was just fantasy baseball trades, and I was
Oh,
like,
yeah.
"Okay, nothing serious has
Nothing
happened."
important. Oh, it's serious.
It's
Very
serious.
serious. Yeah. So, yeah, funny thing happened. Uh, Things that we talked about earlier in the month have done what would that be? A complete 180, or is it one
Did a
three?
complete 180. That's in a song right now.
Oh, I don't know, but
Uh,
it's definitely not 360, right? Because that 360 would be full circle.
yeah, and then you end up right back where you started.
Yeah, so no, it's a complete. Well, maybe it is. Maybe it is a 360. But at any rate, lots of things to talk about. This is one of our my favorites. It's supposed to be a prospect show. We'll see how it goes. Austin is doing a wonderful job playing the role of producer. But we begin tonight by me explaining what happened last night at the Chicago Dogs game. They were facing the Gary Railcats last time I was at the so it's an independent baseball league. I encourage everybody to go and check out your local independent league baseball, minor league baseball stadiums. It is a wonderful, wonderful time every single time we go. So far, I've been to the Schaumburg Boomers. I've been to 2 Chicago Dogs games. They're affordable. It's very family friendly for those who have kids. Kids can just run around and do whatever the hell they want. And I mean, they're like I explained that to you last time, right, Sean? When I went to the Schaumburg Boomers game, there's children everywhere. Like
They're everywhere.
they're everywhere. Like the children of the corn. Are you ready? And this is the same. People are telling me all the time, "Oh, the sport of baseball is dead. It's dying. The kids aren't interested." And maybe to a certain extent they're not. But I saw a lot of kids wearing their little league uniforms, chatting with the bullpen guys, chasing baseballs. Maurice disappeared from us once again. He disappeared for hours on end. I don't even know how the hell he got home. I have no idea how he got home, but we just lost track of him because he just kept wandering off on his own. I'm like, where the hell is this kid? Just gone. But no, we were there for the Joey Buckholz Memorial Game. Jonathan, one of our Baseball Life members, he put together this outing and invited a bunch of us. Bought 4 rows of seats instead of just 1 row, because that's what happened last time, 1 row, but it felt like we weren't really conversating with a lot of people there. So this was a great idea where he got 4 or 5 rows and only bought 4 seats for each row, including an empty one for Joey. And his sister was there in person to as a invited special guest. And Jonathan even had the Jumbotron dedicate the game to Joey. As you know, Sean,
Yeah.
half Brewers, half Mets fan. He wrote a book about how he became a fan of both, but basically it is a little bit of a geographical thing. But also the Mets had a superstation back in the day, so
Yep.
he did mention, well, the Mets games were always on first, and then the Brewers games would be on. So I couldn't pick one, so I just chose both, and it was really fun. I think Joey would have definitely enjoyed last night if he were around. But no, it was a pretty surreal moment, very emotional moment, and I'm glad that these minor league games and these independent league games still exist out there. I know that was a scare back in the offseason that Manfred is killing off minor league baseball and independent leagues, but I hope that I guess I'm being optimistic here, Sean. I'm hoping that it's more of an evolution and an adaptation as opposed to a murdering of these minor league baseball teams. I don't know what is is minor league in your eye? I mean, you live in a small town.
Yeah.
There must be some minor league teams out there in
Yeah,
Tuscaloosa.
yeah. The closest one to us would be in Birmingham, which would be White Sox AA affiliate, the Barons.
Yep. To this day.
Yeah, to this day, the Barons and the Biscuits, who I will be going to next week. So
Okay.
that'll be my first time down there, I think, this year. But yeah, I'll always love going just because, it's baseball. And like when it's a minor league game and you're not like hanging on like every single pitch or play, which when I went to my 2 games in New York, like I wasn't hanging on every pitch or play. I was just there. I was enjoying the atmosphere and everything and hanging out with guys I only get to see a couple times a year. But it's like you can just really sit back, relax, and enjoy it. Very much different from, watching your favorite team on your phone or on your TV where you're like, oh, come on, that was a strike. And then you're just sitting there screaming at your phone like a madman. But yeah, that's I always enjoy going to it. I haven't been to a Barons game yet. Need to do that sooner or later.
No, but it's there's small stadiums. There's not even stadiums, small ballparks, but they're very accessible. Like the ones I've been to so far, they've been accessible all around. Like you can just walk around. There's no dead ends. There's no barriers. There's no guests only locations. I mean, obviously you can't go to the skyboxes or not. Sorry, not the sky. What were they called? Those the luxury suites or luxury boxes or whatever they're called. Yeah, obviously can't walk in there, but. It's just I don't know, man. It needs to be it needs more hype is what I'm trying to say. So, but I was glad to be there. I'm glad that a lot of guys. I met some new guys as well. I met Mahul. I met Raheel. I found out that they're both Indian, and that's why they have the weird names. Raheel admitted to me that he hates that there's a Jonathan India in this league because he's Indian. So he goes, yeah, how would you like it if there was a Juan Mexico? Like there is a Juan Mexico.
Don't tempt me with a good time. I will add him to the roster so quick.
I'll add him to my league. I don't care if he's good or bad. I just want a Juan Mexico, my fantasy league, fantasy baseball team, I should say. So don't tease me like that, please.
But that's like saying like Mookie Betts would be sponsored by DraftKings or something.
Where was the joke on that one?
Mookie Betts.
Oh, that's
sponsored by DraftKings.
That's nifty right there, man. That is nifty. I love that shit. But no, good times last night. Good to see both the Baseball Life members and the Utopia universe as well. But at any rate, we move on to the next topic of conversation. We had an interesting question from Baseball Life member Lynn Vaselli, who actually, before I go on, Ryan has a comment about the small parks. Some of the small parks are beautiful. I'm a huge fan of where the Jumbo Shrimp play in Jacksonville. That's right.
Yep. The Jacksonville Jumbo Shrimp. They're also in the Southern League. So
of course,
this is just the show of the Southern League. The Barons, the Biscuits, the Jumbo Shrimp. Next, we'll be talking about the Trash Pandas. Oh, it's like I'm so glad I live in Alabama, like for just that one fact of all of the Southern League teams that are around us.
Are they out of Huntsville?
Yeah, right outside Huntsville and Madison.
Well, okay. Well, that's actually Austin's in his Mardi Gras league. In the Mardi Gras league, that's actually his team nickname. Is the Rockets, Rocket City Trash Pandas.
There you go.
So playing Jacksonville. Okay, and here in Daytona, we have Jackie Robinson Park, which has so much history. So that's from Ryan. He wanted to chime in about the independent and minor league ballparks. Corey, who's a big wrestling fan, he says he'll see me next week. Yes, that's right, Sean. Next week for next Sunday morning, I'll be kind of rushing to finish up because I will be heading to the Now Arena here in Chicago, suburban Illinois, going to see the All Elite Wrestling All Out pay-per-view event, and Corey Richmond will be there to bask in our glory, and we'll be our friend Kevin has what do you call it? Luxury suites as well that we can. I don't know what the hell they're called. Skyboxes, luxury. I don't know. It's a luxury box.
Whatever those things are.
We have it to ourselves, and whomever the person who actually owns that sells those tickets to. So last year we got to see a wrestler just pop in like, hey, how's it going? Hey, you're that guy. Why aren't you in the ring?
What are you doing up here?
So Lance Archer walks in. So if you don't know who Lance Archer is, he's this big behemoth. He's really tall. He's really huge. He's really big. We had people ask, hey, can we take a picture with you? Autograph? No. I mean, he's very respectful. But he said, no. If I do it for you, then I got to do it for everybody else. I'm just here to,
say hi.
Say hi, enjoy myself. I'm not in the pay-per-view, but I would like to say hi to the fans. And it was pretty cool. It was a pretty cool moment. Anyway, we're getting distracted, but yeah, that's Corey. I'll see him next week. Let's see. Oh, so Lynn, right? Lynn, she was in our newbie league a couple years ago. I don't know if you remember that.
Vaguely.
Well, Austin and I created a newbie league for all the people who've never played fantasy baseball. Johnny Ortega, one of our food life admins and boxing life admin, he joined. Chansam, my friend here, my Asian friend from DuPage County, he also joined in although he told me that he had spent 30 years not doing a fantasy league. And I forgot who else was in it. It was a 12 of us, obviously, but obviously Sean, I mean, come on. Newbie league, but I think I faced her in the championship game because Austin's saying that he lost to me in the semifinal, but I think Lynn was in the championship game, so she held her own, and she out of nowhere she just kind of asked, "Hey, is there a different strategy between head-to-head categories and head-to-head points leagues when it comes to the draft?" And I go, "Well, that's normally a question we answer in January, February, right? That's draft season." Yeah. But I figured, you know what? Let's just go ahead and quickly run through the basics here. The difference between drafting in a head-to-head categories and a head-to-head points league. I have my thoughts on that. I do play in both leagues, but I don't know, Sean, if you wanted to start us off with any big differences there that you see there?
I mean, head-to-head, you're always going to have the bit of the fluky kind of situation where on any given week you could be having a great week, but you could be facing the guy who's having the best week. And of course, in just a traditional roto, it's going to be, it all evens out in the end. You're not facing anyone directly, but I've always leaned towards head to head. I'm in a couple of roto this year. I'm doing good in a couple and poorly in others. So I'm still trying to kind of get the grasp of it, but
and when you say head-to-head, you're talking about categories, points?
Yeah, categories or points. I'm in several head-to-head points, and then, of course, our home league is head-to-head categories. But, yeah, I definitely think there is, almost as like using the roto stats for a certain time period is like the barometer of how well your team should be doing, which is kind of what I was trying to talk about with you a couple weeks ago before you went on your complete roster blow up. Because you did tell me that you were like fourth in all the roto stats. You just weren't winning because you're facing the best teams or teams having their best weeks.
Yeah. Yeah.
So with that, I'll flip it back to you.
Yeah. And that, it's interesting you mentioned that, because that was a piece of controversy in our podcast league over at the Total Bases. That's a league that Austin and I run as a gateway, not a gateway. What's a link to this show, right? So,
is our show a gateway drug?
No, it's a gateway to St. Louis. Once again, I met Raheel last night. So Raheel is a big St. Louis. I found out that he was a big St. Louis Cardinals fan, and that's why there's a reason why I didn't like him at first. But he's a cool guy. No, I'm just joking here. But I don't know, Austin, if you're hearing this, or maybe you, Sean, can do it while I'm talking. Can you tag Lynn Vaselli, VES is her last name, VES, and just let her know that we're answering her question. I don't know if Austin's tagging her or not already, but no, that was a big piece of controversy last week because Austin and we like to utilize the roto rankings over at ESPN for our league. And even though our records didn't indicate, especially my record, I went 8-8, in a very frustrating year this year. But every time I look at the roto standings, my team look like they should be doing a lot better than they are showing. Strikeouts are a problem, but I was able to rectify that. I started paying attention to that when I was dealing with the waiver wire. So that's one way you can use the roto standings there, just to at least see where you can improve your team. And I saw that I was leading the league in hitter strikeouts. So I need to stop picking up hitters who strike out too much. So when I wasn't doing the waiver wire, if I saw a guy striking out more than 25% of the time, I was not even interested. I was like, no, I can't have you, bro. I can't do it. Can't win with you. So that's one way. So, and then the point differential, that's another tool that I like to use just to see, okay, where am I? Am I losing because my team is bad in the points league, or am I losing because, like you mentioned, and this is true. I'm not making excuses. This is true. I have given up the second most points in my league, in my points league. Nothing I can do about that. Nothing. We'll score more points. Okay, I have the fourth highest amount of points in the league. So that's a luck factor. I mean, it's head-to-head. Luck is always going to be a factor in fantasy baseball. It's a bigger factor in head-to-head leagues because of just so many variables that you can account for, especially if you're in a weekly league. That's even worse because if a guy gets injured in the middle of the week, you're SOL, right? You can't change your lineup. So,
no.
But getting back to the draft strategies. I mean, I'm weird. So I feel like I'm kind of the wrong person to ask because I do both. I do this lengthy process in the winter where I'm ranking all the players. I'm using my spreadsheets. Austin was involved in it this year. He had firsthand experience doing that this year with me, as he was a big help. And I guess the question your answer is, if there is a difference, it's a small difference in how I draft and rank these players. It's like tweaks, like minimal tweaks that it's not even worth mentioning. But the big ones are, in points leagues, wins are important. So yeah, go grab your pitchers, your starting pitchers who are on good teams, on very good teams. That's why I was high on the Astros pitchers. The only thing I don't like about that is they go with a 6-man rotation, but we talked about that last week, Sean. That might be the wave of the thing. That might be the new future of Major League Baseball. But yeah, get your starting pitchers on winning teams. That's number one. With hitters, get your hitters that can do damage, hit for lots of doubles and home runs, high slugging percentages, high on base, high ops. That would be the on base plus slugging. But Felipe, it's a points league. Why does rate stats matter? Because the higher the ops, I feel the higher the ops, the more likely that your hitters are going to generate more points. Obviously, you got to control for walks and strikeouts if you do penalize for those in points leagues. But ultimately, well, what about the guys with stolen bases? Well, if you're in a league like mine, every time they got caught, they get -1 points.
Yeah.
And the stolen bases are only worth 2 points, which I don't know.
I'm in one that are that 30-team points league where I think stolen bases are worth 3. So it does kind of give a slight edge to that. But it's funny that you mentioned stolen bases. I'm over here looking at the season-long stats in the Baseball Life Home League. And second and third place in stolen bases is me and Leon at 91 and 90. First place is Jacob with 136.
Yeah, I think he's won that category.
Just blowing out the field. Not even a close second. Yeah,
well, I'm second place in wins and losses, and I probably have the least amount of stolen bases. But in points league, I don't think it matters. But of course, it depends on the format and how many points you're giving to these guys, all of that, right? So, but in my league, personal experience, 2 points to me, it's not worth it. It's not worth getting these stolen base specialists. Although Austin, I think he's winning with guys like Tommy Edman and Miles Straw in that league. So, and he's been killing it in our league. So maybe I have it the wrong way here. But I don't put emphasis on stolen bases and points leagues. I do a little bit in the categories league, but again, it has to be someone that I can trust, someone that has high on base, can good plate discipline, is not going to kill me with the lack of power. I try to get as well balanced a player as I can. But I know that, we talked about it before here on this podcast, Sean, especially when Mario comes in from Fantasy Pros, and he'll tell you, no, stolen bases is how you win this league. If you draft Adalberto Mondesi, you basically have won. Oh, I realize that he now sounds like Gary Vaynerchuk, Mario a little bit.
Goodness gracious.
But remember, I don't know if you remember, but he came on this podcast, like drafting Adalberto Mondesi basically wins you every league, at least wins you the stolen base category automatically when he's healthy, right? Because he can't stay healthy. So, that's one. And of course, obviously in our leagues, we always account for caught stealing, but it might be worth it to get those guys who are stolen base specialists just so you could get that category. But for me, I want a guy who can hit for both power and get some steals. Which we're going to talk about today with these prospects that we're going to talk about. Most of my guys, they can hit for pop and they can hit for, they can get stolen bases. And the last one, bullpen, relief pitchers. I think relief pitching and the closers, drafting closers in points league is very important. But you got to draft the right ones. Try not to overspend on relief on closers.
Yeah.
But yeah, depending on your league, in my league, saves are worth 10 points. So they can help right away, right off the bat. Because conventional wisdom, as you know, Sean, is don't spend too much on closers. Closers are the position is very volatile. They flip over and over. These managers don't know who to trust in the ninth inning. I must have gone through like 3 different sets of closers this season alone in my points league. And of course, in the categories league, it doesn't really matter about the saves. You want to get the guys with very low rate stats and yield a lot of strikeouts. And sometimes these category leagues account for holds. So get the guys with the holds, because you know what happens, Sean, eventually those guys who gets lots of holds, they get lots of saves as well at the end. So
there you go.
Any thoughts on any of my little strategies that I've shared here?
I mean, I definitely buy into, depending on how your league scores things. Like in that 30-team league, the relief pitchers were really, I don't want to say like overpowered, but it rewarded owners that knew good relief pitching, because we had, I think 4 or 5 RP slots, and it's a daily league change, so you can kind of sub guys in and out. But it's like 2 of my top 4 picks, and of course each round was 30 picks, were closers. I had Edwin Diaz and Josh Hader. Saves were worth, I think, like 6 points, and then you get 3 points for every inning, 1 point per strikeout. And these guys just kind of dominated. Of course, Diaz had the terrible 2019 when that season started. And then I traded. Everyone wanted me to trade Diaz at like his lowest point, and I was like, this guy still struck out a lot of dudes. Like, and it was like a fluky home run thing, so I kept him. Traded Josh Hader, but I always kept my eye like in the minor leagues for that relief pitcher that was just doing something crazy. Whether that was Pete Fairbanks or James Karinchak. Like, and then I just picked these guys up off of waivers. Like, I mean, they didn't cost me anything. And as long as like you're keeping an eye towards the future, even in 30-team leagues, if I can do this in a 30-team league, anybody can do it in a 12, 10, 15-team league.
Oh, yeah.
And where these guys come up, you just every now and then go check out, hey, who has like a 35% strikeout rate in the minors, and just keep an eye on them. And then if somebody in that organization gets hurt, guess who's probably getting called up? That guy. And you never know what's going to happen with them. They could end up just being solid middle relief if your league, rewards holds or anything like that. Or maybe they have just a great rate stats because they strike out a lot of guys, don't walk batters. I guess Alexis Diaz kind of came up in that category with me this year. Just picked him up off waivers. Now he's a closer albeit for a poor team, but in this 30-team league, he has SP eligibility as his like first year in the majors. So him, Felix Bautista are guys that I can plug into my SP slots for at least this year. Next year, they'll be RP only. And they're just collecting save after save for me. And they're elite rate stats too.
Yeah, and this is a podcast that talks a lot about relief pitchers, and they're not the sexiest people to talk about. I mean, they are, because they got the big arms.
It's fun. I love having the edge. I feel like that's where my edge is really in the 30-team league, is I just kind of pick up these guys in the minors that nobody's really paying attention to.
Yeah, and like I said, they have the big power arms, the the magnificent sliders, but unfortunately, they can only be used in small spurts, right? Otherwise, they'd be starting pitchers who only pitch for 4 innings, 5 innings, whatever. But no, you're right. It does give you an edge, but and not just in fantasy baseball. But I want to point out that even in real baseball, there's been a real arms chase, arms war. Not to use a political, sociological idiom there for baseball. There's been an arms race. That's what I'm saying. An arms race to get these guys with the big arms, the good command of their sliders and curveballs. And if they don't have it, you know what? If we build you, we can control you. We can fix and little mechanics. And we've mentioned teams that do it very well. The Brewers, although not lately, but the Guardians for sure. The Astros, every year the Astros. The Dodgers definitely. It's not fair, Sean.
It's the same teams over and over,
and there's the ones who are always winning. So White Sox, pay attention. But I like talking about relief pitchers, and if you're into relief pitchers, you're into finding out who's going to be the next guy up on these bullpens. This is probably the show for you, because we're constantly talking about bullpen arms. Like, you think, although for every Tanner Scott, we have to. We got
Tanner Scott will never just not I will never be done with Tanner Scott.
Or Josh Stoutman.
Oh God, he finally got. I sat on him. He was on my IL on the 30 team for so long. I finally cut him. Somebody picked him up. Then he went on like the back on the IL, and now he's just a free agent. I'm like, oh, this guy's like a 28-year-old reliever with gas, and nobody wants him because we just know what Josh Staumann is now.
Yeah, so we will take our lumps, we'll take our losses, but I mean, some of the guys that we've trusted, David Bednar for me, I trusted him in all my leagues until the back injury finally gave out on him. He's been in the IL ever since. Clay Holmes was another guy that we liked. I know, Sean, the ground ball rate and everything. I honestly think he was hurt. He got started getting hurt being overused.
He was hurt.
I think he was hurt. But I know the high ground ball rate. But listen, man, even at 60, you said, well, his 80% ground ball rate.
It was never going to stay 80%.
My argument would be even at 60%, that was still.
Oh yeah, it was still good, but
dominant.
he wasn't going to be like the Zach Britton stats he was putting up before he turned into doo-doo.
Before he turned into Zach Britton on the IL list with him.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, did you hear Zach Britton? I believe Vince was talking about it, or I seen him say, "Oh, like reinforcements on the way." Zach Britton was throwing in a rehab assignment, threw one pitch that I don't even think was like thrown, like he like spiked it into the ground, like and just dropped it, and then walked off the mound with a trainer. So.
And then, of course, for the Yankees, Aroldis Chapman got hurt, a tattoo injury.
Oh,
yeah.
Dude got a prison tat without ever going to prison, even though he should be in prison.
My God. You're making this up, right, Sean? There's no way.
No, he got a tattoo, and it got infected, and now he's on the IL.
My. No, I mean, I know that. I didn't know it was like a prison-style tattoo.
I have no clue, but I'm just assuming because prison tattoos are known for not their high quality and sterile use of equipment.
Jesus Christ. That Yankees team is just floundering right in front of our eyes.
I saw somebody say that this was like the Mets and the Yankees have undergone like this Freaky Friday situation where they've just switched. I mean, it's like the Mets had that one season, we had the Cespedes, we had Syndergaard's hand, foot, and mouth disease when going on the when going on the virus IL was cool before everybody else was doing it.
Yeah, well, he got hurt because he was with a bunch of little kids, right? Is that what happened?
Yeah, it was right after the Little League World Series. He had gone to visit, and then he came back and missed a start for hand, foot, mouth disease.
That's crazy.
I was in Greece when it happened, and I was like, "What?" It was. I saw a meme, and it was like this person out with this person out with this, and it said Mets fans blacked out alcohol.
Really quick, Colton, thank you for joining us. He says, thank you for the tag anytime. Austin's been busy. He says, I'm last in home. Oh, yeah. Austin's been on this big thing in the podcast league. I'm last in home runs, bottom of the league in RBIs, but I lead in average on base percentage and stolen bases. So, hey, there's a strategy to win, right?
If you're in an individual league, you can certainly punt some things.
Yeah.
But if you're in any sort of league that has like an overall, can't really punt categories, and that's kind of where I'm at in the relegation league right now, which is that there's the 5 leagues of I think 15 teams, and I'm really hurting in saves, but in third place overall, still winning my league by like a giant margin. The Baseball Life Bulls are holding in there. We're doing okay.
Okay, that's good to know. But Austin basically is using the same players. So like I said, Miles Straw, Tommy Edman, I think he has them in both the points and the categories league, and he's been doing very well in both leagues because of it. So maybe he's onto something here. Maybe he's onto some revolutionary things that we're not capable of. But yeah, guys who steal bases, they get on base percentage is really high, but they don't hit for much power, which, thumbs down for me, but it works. So maybe that's something to utilize for next season. Austin also mentions Felipe has the best bullpen in Mardi Gras League for sure. Hey, hold on, my friend. Not just in the Mardi Gras League, but I have the best bullpen in the Baseball Life League. I have the best bullpen in the Total Bases Podcast League.
I can't remember who I have in my bullpen this year.
On the Baseball Life League?
Yeah, so I got right now Iglesias Jansen, who blew the save last night, and Jorge Lopez. I also have Ryan Helsley, so...
Man, no one cares about that. You got a bunch of old farts in there. No, man. I got Emmanuel Clase. He takes a big dump on any relief pitchers right there. I tell you what.
Ryan Helsley's pretty good.
Man, I had him like early in the season when he shit the bed for the Cardinals. Nah, man. Emmanuel Clase never lets me down. Okay,
I think Ryan
never.
Helsley has better numbers than Emmanuel Clase, aside from like number of saves.
Man. All right, get your fake news out of here, man. I don't need to hear that. But no, Clase. Yeah, imagine this. I think I kept Liam Hendricks in that league, right? I kept Liam Hendricks.
You had Liam Hendricks?
Yeah.
I didn't think he got kept. I thought somebody drafted him.
No, well, he ended up on my team. So, but I think I kept him just because we went to 6 keepers.
Yeah,
I must have kept at least one relief pitcher. But yeah, Liam Hendricks, and he's been on my bench more often than not. So that's how good my bullpen is. That Liam Hendricks, who was supposed to be an important bullpen arm coming into the season, has been relegated to bench duty for most of the year. So, oh man, I'm telling you, this is the show to listen to if you're into bullpen arms. Oh, here we go. What are we doing? Host podcast life. Who's that?
This is just Ryan Helsley versus Emmanuel Clase.
Is this for this season alone?
Yeah, this is for this year.
Man, look at that low walk rate from Clase. Godly.
Look at that 13K per 9. I just love how minuscule the home run to fly ball rates are, despite the large gap in ground ball percentage.
Oh, but that 183 BABIP, man, not sustainable. Fake.
I just wanted to do that for fun.
So suddenly you're not into ground ball rates. I see 35.8% for Helsley.
Hey,
okay.
If you are striking out, what's his actual K percentage? Let me go back and look. 40% of the guys you're facing. I don't care what any of your other stuff is. I mean, like 40%. That's just wacky.
I'm sorry, 40% was strikeout rate, or what was the stat?
Yeah, strikeout rate.
Yeah, that is wild. That is
33.3% K minus walk rate.
Well, I'll tell you what, man. Clase has a very low strikeout per 9. Somehow he's having a better year this year than last year. I feel like he's more consistent this season in all my leagues.
I feel the slider, he is getting a little bit more swing and miss than he was in the past. That's not as much pitch to contact type stuff. Granted, like when you're throwing 100-mile-an-hour cutters, these guys aren't getting good swings on them. So it's a miracle they make contact.
Austin wants to point out that he also has Brendan Donovan in both the leagues that we're talking about. So yeah, maybe that's the case.
Hey,
Sean, he might have unlocked something here.
He went to high school where my wife went to high school. Brendan Donovan.
Really? Down there in Alabama?
Yep, Enterprise.
Oh, awesome. He was selling rental cars. Is that what it was?
No, not that type of enterprise, and not the Starship either.
Austin also mentions that Aroldis Chapman stats were down anyway. Strikeout per 9 down from last year. ERA is up from last year. He was already struggling, and then the ink tattoo. So that is what's going on in terms of draft strategies. So little tweaks there. I try not to change my rankings too much. And it's all about knowing your league and what to do and how to draft to maximize your output and your production in whatever league you're in. But yeah, I try not to stray too far from my rankings, no matter what. I know that people say, "Well, here's my points draft sheet, and here's my roto draft sheet." I'm like, nah, man. The good players always. I really change it. I basically use the same cheat sheet for all my drafts there.
I mean, I would only change in the fact that in roto, you got to give the stolen base guys maybe like a slight little bump over like in points because they're definitely more needed in roto than or a categories league than just points.
Yeah,
points you can make up for it with a guy that hits a bunch of home runs. You can't really make up stolen bases by guys that hit lots of home runs.
Only other thing I'm going to mention is that starting pitching, I don't try to chase too much of the good teams starting pitchers in categories leagues, because again, I feel like the rate stats are more important regardless of what team you're in. And I know wins are a category, but I feel like I can get on a losing team, I can get a starting pitcher who can yield lots of strikeouts, low ERA, low WHIP, and that ultimately will help. And then you're going to stream these guys anyway, especially if you're in a daily league. You're going to stream these guys anyway, which has been somehow starting pitcher has become the new quarterback for fantasy football. You just stream the guys. Obviously there's guys you don't stream at all, like Justin Verlander. Just put him in there. Max Scherzer, all the old guys, just put him in there. Set it, forget it. but yeah, the Joe Musgroves and maybe some of the lower tier starting pitchers, maybe those are the guys you kind of oh no, he's playing the Astros this week. Let's not start. Robbie Ray is a good example. Oh no, Robbie Ray, he's facing the Astros. Let's not start him this week or this day because he's gonna get lit up by the Houston Astros. So go ahead. I'm sorry.
And it's funny that Austin mentions he says he thinks he has Dylan Cease on both his squads. And I just realized that like the last 2 years, I've really lucked into like the guy of the draft who went way like in the back end of drafts, but is going to finish the year as like the number 1 or number 2 pitcher. Last year it was Robbie Ray, and he was literally my last pick of the draft. And this year it was Dylan Cease, and I drafted him. Okay, but we had 6 keepers.
Yeah.
So I got him in what would have been like for the end of round 7. He was my first round pick this year. But yeah, Dylan Cease having a great year. Just ironic, or that he had just mentioned him in the comments.
Yeah, and we actually our guy Ricky, he was there, the big White Sox fan that he is. Yeah, we were just basically talking about how awful the White Sox have been. I think I even saw other Joey from California by way of Florida, by way of New York, I think, because he's a Knicks fan. He mentioned, he asked, who has been your 3? That's what I wanted to talk about. Who has been the 3 teams that have disappointed you so far this year? And, lots of people said that I saw the Tigers. I saw, who's another team that, I guess the Angels. I thought I saw the Angels, and it was another peculiar team that kind of like made me think. But my 3 answers, you ready for this, Sean? My 3 answers?
Go for it.
White Sox, White Sox, White Sox. All right. No one has disappointed more than the Chicago White Sox this year, and it's not even close. Do you have 3 teams that have disappointed you this season so far?
I mean, the White Sox would probably definitely be on there. Padres again, because it just seems like they've won. They won last year's offseason. They won the trade deadline this year, and they're kind of like they're walking through mud. I mean, it's just like they're going forward, but they're really slow steps, and they're just getting passed and passed. I don't know. I thought the Marlins would be a little bit better.
Yeah,
I thought they had the pitching, and they do have the pitching.
They do. Yeah.
But the offense, I didn't like any of their really offensive acquisitions that they made in free agency. So Larry Garcia, those were just bad moves.
I actually did like those moves. I actually did. That's what made them so interesting.
You see, I understood we play in a big ballpark. We need guys that hit the ball hard. But they kind of avoided the fact of we need guys that hit the ball first. And Garcia and Soler do not hit the ball. When they do, they hit it hard, but they don't hit the ball very often. And I wish they would have just given their youth that they're playing now anyway. They would have just had the whole season. Lewin Diaz at first base, Peyton Burdick, and JJ Bleday in the outfield. They should have. I wish they would have just run those guys out there from day one.
Yeah, it's kind of weird that they went ahead and did that, especially after the lockout. I wonder what the motivation was behind that, but they were making some moves. And
well, I think it was they wanted to spend money, but they didn't want to spend the money necessary. Because that was like the whole thing with the Jeter situation was they really wanted Castellanos. Castellanos really wanted to come to. Granted, we see that probably wouldn't have worked out very well either. But and that was the whole thing was they promised them that they would spend money, and they kind of just took a couple of shortcuts with Soler and Avisail Garcia. They had one more free agent that escapes me. But yeah, it's the Marlins, I think, were a little disappointing this year. I thought they could have been better than what they are, even with them getting like a career year out of Sandy Alcantara.
Yeah, unfortunately, they wasted Sandy Alcantara down there. This wonderful season where he's been both durable and very effective. Strikeouts are a little low, right? I thought the strikeouts.
Yeah. The strikeouts with him have never been super high, but he has more complete games than any team in baseball. He got roughed up by the Dodgers 2 starts ago. Faced them again Faced them again last night. Complete game, 6-hitter. 1 run allowed against the Dodgers. It's absurd.
It's ridiculous. Yeah, it's ridiculous in a era of baseball where complete games are not a thing. This he tries to finish what he starts. Yep. Some guys aren't even allowed to face the lineup like 2 or 3 times in a game, let alone the necessary amounts that you will need to get deep into a baseball game before you give yourself a chance to complete the game yourself. But it's pretty remarkable. Well, we talked about the White Sox. Well, let's talk about that really quick about the White Sox. Not the White Sox, but one White Sox player in particular, and that is Mr. Luis Robert, who once again he's hurt. But it didn't stop me from acquiring him in the Mardi Gras Baseball League. I made 2 more trades today, this weekend, Sean, and part of our whole strategy as to what to do this late in the season in your fantasy baseball teams. I remember earlier this month, I had waved the white flag. I had given up. I said, you know what, I don't need this. I'll just go with the youth movement, get the draft picks I need to improve my stock for next season, start fresh with new players. And then I start going on
and then what happened?
Start going on a winning streak unexpectedly. Right now, I'm in a dog race. I'm in a dog fight. Well, maybe not dog fight. I think that's taboo now. Wait, isn't the dog fight another way of saying airplane?
Yeah. It's an airplane battle. It's a dog fight.
Yeah, I'm in an airplane battle.
We're flying high. You better hope you win, or else you're going to crash and burn.
Yeah, that's basically it. And again, I'm leading. I think last I checked, I was leading the league in points scored this week. But as you mentioned, once again, I'm facing the guy who's second and third in points scored this week. So again, the luck factor, right? I can't do anything about it.
Okay, so Felipe, you acquired Luis Robert. Who else did you get in that trade? Wink, wink.
The big one was I had to. Well, first of all, I had to give up Nolan Gorman and Brian Hayes. Remember when you asked Felipe? I don't get it. I don't get
not for Luis Robert.
No, you'll see.
Oh, okay.
My bad.
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
do you want to do that trade first?
Yeah, let's do that trade first. So remember, you asked me, Felipe, I don't understand your strategy. Why are you insisting on getting these high upside guys if you're not going to be able to keep them? And I go, hey, there's a method to the madness here. So remember, I picked up Nolan Gorman and Brian Hayes from Austin in a big 8-player trade with him, and I also had to give away. So Nolan Gorman, Brian Hayes, 2nd-round pick. I sent it to my friend Shane for Zach Gallen, Robbie Ray, and a 7th-round pick, and that is why you draft these what would you call them, post-hype sleeper prospects.
There you go.
That's why you do it, because they still have there's still a name brand to them. They still I know that guy, he was top 50 prospect last year, so maybe he becomes a keeper. Or maybe it's just Shane just wanted the 2nd-round pick. But whatever it was, I got 2 very good starting pitchers, and all I had to give up was a 2nd-round pick and 2
guys you weren't going to keep anyway.
Yeah, the promising prospects who are kind of struggling right now. You mentioned Nolan Gorman gets benched against left-handed hitters. Brian Hayes, I have no idea what the hell's going on with them. Everything about him says that he should be playing a lot better than he is right now. And did we talk about his struggles?
Yeah,
already?
A little bit. We kind of talked about like him and Alec Boehm. They are good hitters. They hit the ball hard. It's just not enough in the air yet. It's a lot of line drives. So it's like one of those. They're better real life hitters than fantasy hitters.
I'll never understand that. It's just so weird to me that these guys. It's mind boggling. Maybe it's the Pirates. Maybe it's the Pirates' fault. They ruined that poor Brian Hayes. Has to be, right. So that's one. So now my pitching looks great, better than ever. I figure, well, if I'm a game behind the division. I've been winning nonstop since I made those trades to Tank. I'm facing Austin on back-to-back weeks. Austin's one of the best teams in the league, if not the best team in the league. Might as well have the horses ready to go. I hope these trades go through by Monday morning so I can set the lineup properly. But maybe get the pitching I need to go toe-to-toe with Austin and give myself a fighting chance against them if this playoff push is a real thing, right? Because like I said, friend Steven still has.
Well, with the next trade you made, you better hope that this playoff push is real, because I thought you would never have made this trade. Yeah. It was very unlike you. It's very much a win now thing. The age gap, the talent gap, you definitely probably come out ahead for this year, but the moving forward is quite interesting. So go ahead and let us know that second mega trade you made.
And I said this from the get-go, I would only do this trade if it would knock my socks off. And finally, after months dealing with my friend Matt, who's an admin over at Football Life, he finally relinquished. Like, all right, Felipe, you win. Here's the guy you've been wanting since February, right? So the trade is, I traded Julio Rodriguez.
Oh, gasp!
and George Kirby. So no more Mariners connections. I don't think I have any Mariners left on my teams, which makes me sad. I really love the Mariners.
Felipe Dipoto over here trading all the Mariners.
Yeah, well, I was Felipe Dipoto until all the Mariners were gone. So Rodriguez and Kirby, first and third round picks, by the way. Remember, that was a big thing. Like, well, I don't know what the point is of you getting all these draft picks if there's going to be 5 guys kept from every team. Who can you possibly want next year that is not going to be kept? Hey man, you'd be surprised. I mean, Aaron Judge was available this year in draft, so he wasn't kept. Maybe I can get someone similar to him next year. That was my thinking, and especially if I have multiple draft picks. Anyway, we talked about that, but yeah, that's why I did it. Or I can flip them over for some better players, right? And those players were Aaron Judge, Luis Robert, and of course the 6th and 7th round picks as well. So yeah, ultimately these 2 trades happened because I'm in a dogfight with my friend Juan. I'm right now have a 20-point lead. Last I checked, it could go either way because we have one more pitcher each. I don't know. I think I have who the hell do I have coming? I know he has Aaron Savali going today, which doesn't really scare me because he's not facing the Tigers today. As you know, Aaron Savali only does well against the Tigers. And then I'm going to check right now. Yeah, but I do still have a 21-point lead to be exact. And I have Ross Stripling against the Angels.
So how do you feel about trading Julio Rodriguez?
It sucks because I honestly thought, wow, I might have just lucked my way into getting the next Ronald Acuna or maybe the next Byron Buxton or even the next Luis Robert, because I thought Bushnell was never going to trade Judge or Robert, but at least I have one of my own. I've been wanting one of those center field. Remember, I've been going about it all the whole wrong way this whole time. Remember, Christian Yelich, I've been looking for him, the next one. And I finally had to get rid of him this year. Jock Peterson, I've been trying to replicate that production. And we even talk about guys like Robert Hassel III. Like, I want him because he reminds me of Christian Yelich. His profile does. Yeah. And it turns out, no, I had him all along. It was Julio Rodriguez. He's the guy. And remember, Jared Kelenic with last year too. I thought he could be that guy, and he wasn't. Right now, I'm pretty sure Kelenic's like, he's looking at that contract that Julio Rodriguez got, and he's wondering to himself, oh man, that could have been me.
Yeah.
But Rodriguez he was a right fielder prospect, and Kelenic was a center field prospect, and now Rodriguez is a center field future of that team. But it made me sad. But Rodriguez was struggling a little bit. The strikeouts were getting out of control. There's some holes to his game because he's a rookie. Leave him alone. He's a rookie, right? He's a raw player. So go ahead. I'm sorry.
I would actually make that trade about 10 times out of 10. And I'm not even a huge Luis Robert fan. It's just the type of player Julio Rodriguez is. And he's still, he's 21 years old. This is like insane that he's even doing what he's doing now. But I always shy away from this type of player. The lower walk rate, the high whiff rates, which of course with how well he hits the ball when he does make contact. And he posted like pretty good walk strikeout numbers in the minors. Granted, he wasn't down in the minors for very long. And only had never played in AAA. Maybe there's more that can be done in terms of his plate discipline. Like we saw kind of Acuna do it. Tatis was kind of getting there. But I tend to shy away from these young guys, and I would trade them if I could get a guaranteed player like Aaron Judge back. Especially, 5-year keeper. And I guess if you get Luis Robert here, do you plan on keeping Luis Robert?
We'll see. It gives me another option for sure.
Yeah. I'm not trying to dox your strategy over here on the podcast. If you keep both of them, that makes sense.
People can see what the possibilities are. I was talking to Steve, my opponent, who's in the lead in this division, good friend of mine. I was talking about it, and he basically said, "Wow, you really are throwing Hail Marys just to catch up with me, huh?" He said, "Wow, congratulations! You traded away a 1st and 3rd rounder for 2 injury-prone guys. Did I now? Did you mean to say the AL MVP and a guy with better physical tools than Julio Rodriguez?"
Like I said, those 2 guys are very similar, Rodriguez and Luis Robert. But I think if I had to pick one, I'd pick Julio Rodriguez.
Yeah, well, I mean, right now you do because
No, but even after last year, you know what? That was why I traded Robert. I didn't like Robert.
you've never liked Robert. That's the
I
thing.
know.
You haven't
That's
liked
what I've been
Robert.
saying.
And all he does is produce. And he's
produce. What is he producing this year? Headaches?
Well, injuries more than anything. But but that's the thing I was telling my friend here. When Judge is healthy, you're seeing it. He might break the home run record this year.
Oh yeah.
And when the traditional home run record, not the one that Barry Bonds posted, but they're all tainted. I don't care, whatever. But he might break. Fine, let's call it the Yankee record. Let's call it the Yankee home run record this year. So that and that's a guy who's always hurt, Aaron Judge. But if I were to think about it in those terms, I would have swayed away from this trade because he's a calf injury away from being out for 3 weeks.
Hey, Aaron Judge was my first overall pick in the 2019 draft for my 30-team league, and I stuck with him because 2019 he missed half the year basically, and I've stuck with him. I added Paul Goldschmidt in a trade 2 years ago, so in that 30-team league, I'm kind of running away with the season-long points record, which is how we decide our MVP of the league, which is only going to be fitting because I'll have the AL MVP, the NL MVP, and the league-wide MVP, which will just be my team, which already pays for entry into next year's. But yeah, it's one of those. I get trading, and Robert's only 25 and has some injury things.
That's the one concern about him. But when he's healthy, he produces. He really does.
So what has this thing that I saw earlier this week? I guess he was kept in the game and he was swinging hurt. Yeah, I saw like a brief video. Like I don't know what was hurt. Was it his wrist?
His left wrist is still hurt. He
was just swinging with one hand basically.
Well, he injured his wrist a couple weekends ago. I think it was a weekend ago. It was
about a week ago.
He was trying to steal second, and the guy who was playing, I forgot what team it was. It might have been the Twins.
He slid into his foot. The hand went into the foot.
Yeah, he jammed it up against his leg. I think it might have been Jorge Polanco. It might have been the Twins. I don't remember exactly. So he's been hurt. He comes back. He produces, but then he gets hurt again. And I guess they're yelling at Tony La Russa because he might have. And when I say they, I mean the fans. Yeah, they're yelling at Tony La Russa because he might have rushed him too quickly back. So yeah, otherwise. He just had gotten back from, I forgot, a leg injury or a rib injury or what the hell. I don't know, man. But he comes back and he's just crushing the ball like only Luis Robert can. I mean, we love him here in Chicago, but the injury stuff is getting old. It's like, how are you 25 years old and you're always hurt? Same thing with Eloy Jimenez. And we actually mentioned that last night. At the game, all the Cubans are getting hurt. Jimenez, Robert, Chapman. I'm missing one. Moncada went on the IL yesterday with a hamstring. The only one who's staying healthy is Jose Abreu, and he's probably the oldest of the bunch there. So it's just. But I'll tell you what, man. Luis Robert, he always showed improvement in the minor leagues. Every stop he's been in, single A, double A, triple A, he's always shown improvement. He's always the youngest guy in the league in those leagues. He's improved his strikeout rate in the last 3 seasons. The home runs and obviously the stolen bases aren't there because he's always hurt, but where's the ISO? Well, the ISO was down this year, but before these injuries started piling up, he was consistently posting an isolated power of above 200. So that's the thing. But yeah, go ahead.
Did you see producer and tagger of people Austin Spiro, his comment? He said, "Do we know if Luis Robert was with Reese McGuire when he hurt his wrist?"
No comment. No comment. I saw the injury happen in front of me. Not Reese McGuire.
Whoa! You saw that one?
But I did see him slide into second base. No, well, not that kind of second base. But other thing about Robert. His contact rates are improving. Overall contact rate has been going steadily climbing above 70%. Actually, in the last 30 days or so, I saw that he was a 78% contact rate. Outside the zone contact rate has also gone up. He started his rookie year in 2020 at 47%, which is putrid. But you know who else does those numbers? Aaron Judge. So at least he did at the beginning of his career. Check him out. Check my math work here. But it's outside the strike zone contact rate. Robert has been steadily climbing as well. I mean, the guy, when he's healthy and has shown that he's invincible, he is a wonderful player to look at because he does improve. And never mind all the other stuff that he does for the team when he's healthy, like, playing the outfield, literally all three outfield positions he plays because he's so damn good. And Eloy Jimenez is so bad at left field. But yeah, so I that's why I have an affinity towards him. And if he could just stay healthy for the next 2 months and help the White Sox, he can help my team. And yeah, and if it doesn't work out, I still got Lars Nootbaar on the team as well. So
hey, Nootbaar is one of the hottest bats in baseball.
Yeah.
I do find this encouraging in terms of Luis Robert, and I remember talking about it back in like 2020. His whiff rate versus breaking stuff, which it just seemed like that was all pitchers wanted to do when he first came up, was just feed him those down and away sliders. He had a 46% whiff rate in 2020 against breaking balls, 36% last year, 30% this year. So a consistent dropping in his whiff rate on them as well. And the performance against the balls have gone up as well.
I'm telling you, man, the kid is a natural at this game, but just has to stay healthy. And I don't know what you could do. I told people the only crime against Robert is that he plays too damn hard. Okay, that's the only crime. And we want to see players play hard.
The Bryce Harper treatment, that, and he doesn't really walk that much.
Yeah, but you know how it goes. Neither does Byron Buxton. Neither does Julio Rodriguez. And I don't care what you say. That might be him for the rest of his life. Just the guy with the bat speed. Look at Buxton. He never improved his walk rate. I don't think he did, but he improved everything else. But again, that's another story. If they can just stay healthy. But Byron Buxton, another guy who plays really hard, and we penalize him for that. We dismiss him. We criticize him for that, and maybe that's not the right approach to do. But there is something to it, and I don't know what can be done with these teams to tell these guys, hey, it's a grind. It's a 162 game season. Let's slow it down. But once they slow it down, then everybody gets after them for hot dogging it, for not playing hard enough, for not trying hard enough. So I mean, it goes back to what we talked about, PEDs and all that. Like who's the evil one here? Is it the players for taking needles, injections, and stuff that they shouldn't be taking, or is it us, the fans and the organizations, for expecting superhuman powers out of these players without any superhuman relief? So
see, that was what I always hated when with some Mets fans, with Beltran when he was here, and then most recently like Cano when he was here. Beltran was a little bit younger than Cano when Cano was a Met. But these were guys that, been around the block for a while, and they can hustle. They will bust it, but they also know, hey, this is a long season. I don't need to bust it 110% on every ground ball to the second baseman. And people are like, oh, of course you do. No, you have a responsibility to be on the field.
Yeah. That's
what comes first. And people are like, oh, they don't hustle. Beltran never ran hard to first base. Well, really, Beltran always played. I mean, it's these guys know their bodies better than any fan. And of course, like, I'll still, applaud the guy that hustles to first every time, whatever, cool. But when you're the star player and you're being paid, one of the highest paid guys on the team, you also have a responsibility, once, play hard, at least run to first base, like get to first base. Don't just like cut off halfway. But you also have a responsibility to play as much as you can and help the team win. Like, I have a lot of fun watching Brandon Nimmo sprint to first base when he walks. Like, that's so much fun, and it pisses people off. Oh my God, I've seen so many triggered Braves fans in the last month talk about, you guys have a guy that sprints to first base after a walk and deadlifts during a home run derby. And we're like, yeah, that's freaking cool. But they're like, they get so mad. And it's like, you go and you look and you're like, oh, Nimmo has an on base over 400 basically against the Braves. That's why they don't like him. But they just pick this one thing of him sprinting to first base and just use it as like a rallying cry to, oh, it's so tacky. Like, what?
And these are the same people who would be complaining right now, Sean, if they weren't trying, if they were not taking it seriously. Pete Alonso he's just there chit-chatting with the other players on the other team, and he's not taking this seriously. He needs to take it seriously for the fans. And
then when he takes it seriously, they're like, oh no, he's not having fun. It's like,
he's not having fun. Yeah. No, he was having fun winning, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Back-to-back the home run derby champ that he is, Pete Alonso. Austin has shared his 3 disappointing teams for this year: Angels, Tigers, White Sox. Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah, Angels would probably be up there as well. I didn't expect the Tigers to be any good. Everyone's like, oh, they signed Baez, they signed Eduardo Rodriguez. Like, hey, that's a sneaky good offseason. I'm like, no, Javier Baez is not your impact signing. That's not going to turn out well. And here we are.
Here we are. Yeah,
it's okay.
Well,
I still have Mets fans that are saying, "Oh, the Mets should have signed Javier Baez. He wouldn't have these numbers if he was playing next to Lindor. He's a better player than Jeff McNeil." And I'm just like sitting here like, don't go crazy, because it's like McNeil, I think, is at like almost 4 wins, 4 F4 right now, and Baez is at 1. It's just insane.
Austin also says, I guess it's just the way I'm wired. I always enjoy seeing players run hard. It drives me nuts when they don't. Call me boomer, I guess. Well, you're a boomer, I guess. You're a boomer. But no, I mean, but you also don't want your players to get hurt either. But when you give it your all, that's what happens. That's why, and everybody says baseball's a mental game. This isn't football. This isn't basketball. This is baseball. It's more of a mental game than it is a physical game. It's a skill-based game more than it is a feat of athleticism. Because you need to be right up here as well as physically as well. Yeah. But everybody, they have a football mentality towards these things. They want their guys to go hard.
And I think it's also like a difference in terms of when we talk about players hustling. And I love how this whole conversation was not on our script for today, but it happened very organically. And I've liked this conversation. I've wanted to have it for a while, but it's like there's a difference in the veteran, the 30-plus-year-old veteran who's making a lot of money, who feels responsibility to be on the field, that maybe they don't run hard on the grounder to second, and I'll give them, a break for that. But if they hit a ball really hard and they just stand there and watch it, and this is like not even like the 30-year-old guys that do this. The person that comes to mind here to me most is Ronald Acuna. And it's been multiple times, and he's been benched in the past for it, where he hits the ball really hard, and he just stands there and he watches at it. And then the ball bounces off the wall, and instead of him being on second or third base, he's on first. And I'm like, nobody really says anything. I mean, Snitker's benched him once or twice in the past couple of years because of it.
Right.
But, like, I feel like when that happens, we say, oh, like we talk about, he didn't hustle on that play, whatever. But then if it's the situation of, he jogged to first base on a grounder to second, how many times has said player hit a grounder to second? He knows who the second baseman is. He knows how good of a jump he got out of the box. Like, he's not going to 110% at sprint to first base on a ball that he's hit 1,000 times, and 995 of them were outs. Mm-hmm. You just get to first base. Like that's all I ask of like the older guys, is just get to first base.
Yeah, and what it goes back. I don't think we're gonna get to our prospects, man. I can tell you that much. But we could probably say that for next week's show. September call-ups are right around the corner. It's not what it used to be. Like I mentioned to you earlier, before the show started, it's not what it used to be, where Major League Baseball players would expand to 40. I think they only expand to 28. I think it was, you said.
Yeah, 28.
But we can talk about these.
It can be one pitcher and one hitter, or 2 hitters, I believe.
What for? For the
actual expansion. For the extra 2, because they have the limit on pitching, and right. then but they didn't start enforcing it until like May or June, whatever. So for when the rosters expand, it can only be one. It can't just, both roster spots can't be pitchers, basically.
Right. Yeah. Okay, well that's good to know. But maybe we'll do it next week, and as we get ready for that aspect, and we'll have a show. We already have the players listed, but we'll see how we are doing with time. But we left off talking about hustling and not hustling. I mean, yeah, I get it. You want to see your guys give it their all, but just know that there's consequences to it. When they do it 100% of the time, when they give 110%, 100% of the time, that's when injuries start happening. So we've seen it happen numerous times, but the smart players can balance it out. But you're right. Because you were talking about, the grounders to second base. There's a reason why, when statistically speaking, when they're gauging defensive fielding prowess on these guys, the guys who bobble a play that is made by 90% of second basemen, they get penalized hard for not making that play.
Yeah,
because it's supposed to happen 90% of the time. So for a player to try and hustle unnecessarily for a play that maybe might result in a 10% positive outlook for him, and what he dislocates his kneecap because he steps in the bag wrong. Is it really worth it?
Especially if it's a player that's like not known for their speed. Like
Yeah.
if you have speed and you hustling can really influence and put the pressure on the fielder, okay,
Yeah,
then
that makes sense.
try it. But if you're a 34-year-old guy who you were never a fast guy to begin with, and now your legs are even more shot, like what are we doing complaining here?
Same thing with the Bryce Harper. I know that's always been the guy. Bryce Harper's always been the poster boy. This guy doesn't try. That's why he's a douchebag. That's why he's this. His hair's too long. He looks like a damn hippie. Everybody complains about his hair all the time. What Head and Shoulders over there. But no, so yeah, but this goes back to Julio Rodriguez and Luis Robert. People forget about Luis Robert, man. The guy was a physical specimen. Not that Rodriguez isn't, but Robert was. I remember scouting both of these players for this show and for fantasy baseball purposes as well. And Robert is just physically, it was more gifted than Rodriguez was. Not to undermine Rodriguez, but if it's a game of inches, that's why I said what I said about Robert. Just the physical tools that Robert has, I felt were much better at Rodriguez's age. But not to take anything away from Rodriguez either. But I don't know. I still have hope. I still have hope for Robert. But if it were up to me, I'd probably keep both of those guys. But that's not the world that we live in.
Yeah.
They can't. It can't be done. Maybe the Mariners can. Maybe the White Sox will get frustrated and they'll trade Robert to the Mariners and
Kalenic goes to the White Sox.
Kalenic goes to the White Sox. So that'd be the White Sox thing to do. Taylor Trammell will go to the White Sox because Kenny Williams likes those types of players. So and then Mitch Haniger will be the salary dump. So and then Rodriguez can go back to right field. Robert can get injured at center field again. Those things can happen, man. Anything can happen. So yeah, hoping that these trades give me a late playoff push in the Mardi Gras League and the Total Bases Podcast League, where the one that Austin and I created. It looks like it might be Austin and I in the championship game. I don't know, Sean. Those podcast boys, they might know what the hell they're talking about. But
hey, if you play him in any sort of the playoff final or anything, I hope you have better luck. Because you didn't have luck last year.
Well, the Roto standings showed that I was a victim of bad luck. Okay, I mean, but that's cool, man. People were bragging about beating me back in May. That was like that ended up being their little Super Bowl. But yeah, I'll see you guys in a championship game, unless my buddy Angel pulls out a miracle today. But last I checked, I had a 7-category league up on him on the categories league. So I feel like I have this one in the bag. But how are we doing on time? I think we're
at little over an hour.
Okay. You know what? Let's save the prospects for next week. We'll talk about the Brandon Pfaffs of the world, the Hunter Browns, the Cade Cavalli. I know he just got called up yesterday, but
yeah, didn't go very well. But hey,
did not go very well.
It happens. It happens.
And then Corbin Carroll, we're going to talk about. So Anthony Volpe, we want to see what all the hype is about with him. I mean, I know what the hype is about, but we're going to give him the old surgical treatment here and dissect his game a little bit for you guys. Anything else you want to talk about before we let you go, Sean?
No, I'm good.
All right. Well, I am Felipe. That is Sean over there. Dave, everybody who tuned in, commented, reacted, I really appreciate it. We're trying this new thing. We heard you. We got positive feedback from the at everyone thing controversy last week, Sean, but we decided we're not going to force the issue, like you mentioned, organically, right? And Austin has done a wonderful job being like a de facto producer for this show. He went out and asked about, all right, fine. As a compromise, we won't do the at everyone, but if you want to subscribe, we can tag you the day of the show and you guys can check us out, answer your questions, read your comments on the air. So they're on the record for the rest of time over on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts. That's why we do it, right? Yeah. This will, you know what? The aliens will come in and the Russians will nuke us to the ground, but these sound bites will stay forever.
Our little digital footprint will remain.
Goddamn right. Like, there won't be any baseball when it happens, but they'll know about Luis Garcia. All 6 of them. All 6 Luis Garcias.
It's so true, though.
Yeah. somehow soccer will survive, and Luis Garcia, the soccer player, will always be remembered. So, but anyway, this is the Total Bases podcast. Check out the other podcasts as well. I guess the step back, they're gonna go on is it called bi-weekly? It's every 2 weeks, right?
I believe that would be bi-weekly.
I think we're due for a new basketball podcast this week, so looking forward to it with Jacob and Leon. Obviously, the Orange Pinstripes with Henry, Vince, Sean, James. Well, are you guys on a rotation of sorts? Because I only saw Henry and James the other day.
Yeah. Vince was having to step out, and then I ended up working 14 and a half, 15, almost 15 hours. So yeah, I cut it short trying to do that show anyway on Wednesdays because we start at 7 and I leave work at like 6:30. So
Right.
it's already a close call, but so guy ended up running late. So it's
All right,
okay.
well, that's why you have multiple guys, because they can step up, right?
Yep.
And of course, Austin, Thursday nights is the Total Bases Express show, which is the mini show version to this long format that we have on Sunday mornings. And of course, Sunday morning come down with us, breakfast, coffee, baseball. What more do you guys want? Have a conversation, interact with us. It's the greatest sport of all time. Let's talk about it right here on the Total Bases podcast. We will see you all next weekend.
Adios, guys.